I took every drug known to man at the same time to stimulate every corner of my brain. And this is the result.
Here, let me celebrate with all of you generic sci-fi people that just want a large generic sci-fi battle. Probably just got myself demonetized by George Lucas. What's up, nerds? How's everybody doing? It is I, Brother Jay, the movie monk, the Cardinal of Criterion, the Shaolin Abbot of Arrow, the Sister of Severin. That's right, it's ma'am now. This is the Netflix version of this channel. It's ma'am now, okay? And I'm probably not spilling any beans at this point. You've probably already heard the news. The entire galaxy is celebrating jubilantly, but it would appear that Paramount has won the bidding war. They big-dicked old Netflix. Netflix pulled out not just of your sister, they pulled out of the bidding war to acquire Warner Brothers Studios. And so that means by default, Paramount is walking away, holding the bag, swinging they big dick, and Netflix just didn't want to. This is according to the Wall Street Journal, so this is from a trusted, reputable source, unlike myself. Not to be trusted, clearly not reputable. Paramount has won. Netflix decided they couldn't beat Paramount's most recent offer for WB, and so there you have it. I think that this is probably the best outcome under the circumstances that we live in. We don't live in a perfect world. I mean, licensing K-pop Demon Hunters to Criterion aside, Netflix just doesn't do nearly enough physical media to make me feel comfortable with them taking over Warner Brothers. I mean, WB has been giving us some awesome physical media over, I mean, really years. They've been giving us great physical media from the dawn of physical media, and I don't want that to stop. They gave us something like Ben-Hur recently. I've heard nothing but great things about that 4K. They did the Nightmare on Elm Street 4K. I haven't seen that one yet either, but I hear nothing but great things. Of all the Warner Brothers stuff I've got, the 4Ks do look great. By and large, they also license stuff to Arrow. They just signed a deal with Vinegar Syndrome. So Warner Brothers, very much into physical media. Me, also very much into physical media, probably you too. So I think the presumption that if Netflix won the deal and got Warner Brothers, I think, you know, the presumption was very much that Warner Brothers, that physical media train was going to grind to a swift halt. So I supported Paramount in this bidding war because I didn't want the train to stop. I want Paramount and Warner Brothers to run the train on me. My wife was rooting for Netflix to win, though, because she's tired of me buying movies. Just kidding. She's tired of hearing me say Warner Archive like the straight G I am. But this means that Warner Archive, presumably, lives to fight another day. Paramount presents Warner Archive. Maybe it just got a little bit longer. I can live with that as long as I keep getting some nice 4Ks with nice slipcovers like The Searchers. Hey, there's another great Warner Brothers 4K. Do you want to lose the Warner Brothers archive to the Vatican archive of Netflix shit that they own that they'll never let you see again or never let you see unaltered? I think it's a shame how Netflix was forced to change their model so much. They've changed their model so much over the past, 12 or so years. They replaced Blockbuster back in the day. I mean, in the early years of Netflix, they were a replacement for Blockbuster. There's a reason why they killed Blockbuster. It wasn't so much like a David and Goliath thing. It was more like smallpox were introduced to the Americas, and there was just no immunity for that. That's what happened. Blockbuster did not have an immunity to streaming, and Blockbuster was not ready for a world in which people didn't come and physically grab VHSs or DVDs off the shelf and take them home. And Netflix was very much like the post-scarcity streaming alternative, and people loved it. You never went to Netflix, fired it up, and oh shit, they rented out all the Avengers. You can't watch the Avengers tonight because all the copies are gone from the 4 blockbusters closest to you. You got to drive 45 minutes each way to get a copy. Those days were done, and Blockbuster wasn't ready for that. And so I think there's a reason why Blockbuster fell to Netflix in those early days of streaming, and when Netflix was still doing the disc service. If they couldn't stream it, they could send you a disc. And for a low monthly membership, do you remember what Netflix used to cost back then? I think I paid $10, and I got 2 discs at a time, and I had, of course, streaming. And those were the days, right? Because we definitely pay more than that now, and they will not send me a disc. So beyond the loss of physical media that we might have suffered if Netflix had won and acquired Warner Brothers, people were also worried that Netflix was going to enshitify the Warner Brother IPs. Batman, gay and lame. Joker, also gay and lame. Superman, gay and lame. Wonder Woman, she's already a girl boss, but I share the impression with most folks that Netflix's original stuff, the stuff that they make for their platform, is generally mediocre slop, and that's me being kind of nice about it. Damsel type of shit, you know what I'm talking about. Did you see Damsel? Let me know in the comments below if there's one of you that likes Damsel out there. I mean, I talk a lot of shit about Stranger Things, and you know I do, because Stranger Things sucks. But if I say Stranger Things sucks, it's on a whole different level of Damsel. Like Stranger Things, the only reason I got a hard-on about Stranger Things is because I saw season 1. Like, it could be good. It could have been great. Damsel, there was no chance it was ever going to be great. It's just mediocre slop. It's just shit all the way down. You know, Netflix stuff is like varying degrees of pseudo-entertainment checkboxes. It's like real middle-of-the-road type of shit. They're not trying to offend anybody. That's the worst thing you can do. They never swung for the fences. And you guys remember, the second rule of Shit Happens When You Party Naked. Bad is forgivable, boring never is. And that's because the first rule of Shit Happens When You Party Naked is it ain't gay unless the balls touch. That's the first rule. Second rule is bad is forgivable, but boring never is. You can make something that turns out shitty as long as you're putting in an effort to entertain. You know, Netflix just made a lot of forgettable shit, and it's because they weren't trying to entertain first and foremost. They were trying not to offend. First, do no harm. Except you're Netflix. You ain't got to take the Hippocratic Oath, motherfucker, because you can do some harm. You ain't wielding a scalpel and you ain't prescribing medicine. So you can do some harm. Feel free. Swing for the fences. The problem with Netflix shit is it's like paint by numbers. It's like some formula approved by a boardroom of business people who'd never done anything creative in their life. All of it lacked vision. It felt corporate and soulless. It's like entertainment by algorithm. My thesis statement is that Netflix shit is more afraid of offending people than it is eager to entertain. And you'll never make anything great that way. Anyway, it is on the topic of enshittification that I'm not sure that Paramount is the savior that we want them to be in this case. I mean, the old Warner Brothers shit is safe. I'm not currently afraid that Paramount is going to tamper with the old Warner Brothers shit. That stuff is probably fine. New stuff, maybe not so much. I mean, take a look at what Paramount did to Star Trek if you want to see how bad Paramount can also fuck up an IP. I can't say much more about this because I'm not a Star Trek fan, but I can say that nothing I've seen from recent Star Trek makes me want to hop on board. I am A-okay sitting Star Trek out. Then, of course, there's the political angle to the whole Paramount versus Netflix to acquire Warner Brothers. People always got to pick sides. I don't have much to say about the political angle. As Mark Twain said, it is better to keep your mouth shut let people think you're an idiot than to open it and remove all doubt. So nothing else I have done or said on this YouTube channel has ever made me seem like an idiot. I'm very confident of that. So now the question of a monopoly, I think, is the crucial question here with regard to the potential purchaser of Warner Brothers. You know, that's the legal hurdle that really put a stop to this. Yeah, sure. At the end of the day, it's going to seem like Paramount outbid them, and Netflix wound up pulling out because they didn't want to up the ante. It's going to seem like they couldn't outbid Paramount, but I think Netflix had a very good idea over the last couple of weeks that there were going to be significant legal hurdles in terms of antitrust laws that exist. That I don't know why we just start enforcing these now. We should be enforcing these way more than we do. And I think Netflix very much had an excellent idea of what was going to happen if they proceeded with that merger. And even if the United States shot down the merger with Warner Brothers, I think it was going to come at some cost to Netflix. I don't know that they would have been fined by the United States, but just having to defend themselves legally is going to cost them. And I think they took a look at the stock prices and decided, no, we don't want to spend money to try to defend our acquisition of Warner Brothers just for it to fail. So I think they did a calculation. They decided it's likely to fail. It's likely to cost them some money to defend, and it wasn't worth the money to try to defend that acquisition. You know, let Paramount take it on. I mean, the acquisition of Warner Brothers is certainly a risky one. Whichever company winds up taking Warner Brothers is also going to wind up taking on Warner Brothers debt. And the reason Warner Brothers is selling the ass right now anyway, and I've discussed this, I think, in a previous video on this channel, is because Warner Brothers was saddled with a lot of debt after acquiring Discovery. And so, you know, whoever buys them is buying that debt as well. This could be dangerous for either party, Paramount or Netflix, because you're taking that on. And so it remains to be seen how that's going to impact Paramount and what Paramount might do to try to ameliorate that and make the best out of that acquisition. They're certainly going to want to profit from that acquisition. And I don't hate streaming. I think I should say I don't hate Netflix. I mean, streaming as an alternative to getting my ass in the car and going to Blockbuster only to discover that everything I want is already rented, that was a good value proposition. I liked Netflix as a replacement for Blockbuster. I do miss those days of kind of wandering the aisles at the video rental place, but those days are as gone as me being 12 is gone. There's no going back to 1989 and begging my mom to rent some rated R shit with Robert Englund in it. So as long as there's no going back, I might as well have Netflix as a Blockbuster replacement. The problem is, that's not what streaming is anymore. I mean, that's what streaming was in 2015. That's not what streaming is now. Streaming as the new, more subtle vertical integration of exhibition has rubbed me the wrong way for years. I mean, ever since every single studio decided they needed their own streaming service to compete with Netflix, and everybody took their ball and went home, Netflix lost all of this third-party IP, and then they had to make it up by creating their own piece of shit IP, like Damsel. So, you know, maybe it's Disney's fault that Netflix made Damsel in the first place. I mean, there was a day when Netflix original content used to be prestigious. I mean, do you remember the first 1 or 2 seasons of House of Cards and the way people used to talk about Orange is the New Black? It was really kind of incredible, the level of prestige that Netflix has somehow managed to torpedo over the past, I don't know, 13 or so years. It baffles me. But what happened was everybody took their ball and went home, and Netflix had to suddenly cover this content deficit. And, you know, nearly a century ago, and this may be a little bit of a lesser known thing, but surely some of you out there who are very well educated and well versed in film history will know nearly a century ago, the studios, the major studios, including Warner Brothers and Paramount, the same motherfuckers we're talking about today, they used to own the theaters where their films were exhibited. This is what I mean by vertical integration. Also Google it, but vertical integration being the studios made the movies, the studios distributed the movies, the studios owned the theaters where those movies were exhibited. And in 1948, Paramount lost their legal battle. It was another antitrust legal dispute, United States versus Paramount. You can Google that one. There's a Wikipedia article that'll give you the Cliff's Notes on that. But the idea was that a block booking and some of the other practices at that time, that was to say theaters had to take movies they didn't want in order to get movies they did want. You want to exhibit Gone with the Wind or Wizard of Oz, you know, you also have to take this piece of shit over here that maybe you don't want, because otherwise you can't have it. And so there were some practices that really curtailed the ability of like the theaters to maybe do what they want. And this monopoly was at that time struck down, broken up, and the studios had to divest, which means sell off their interest in the theater chains. It allows for more independent, at least independent of the studio system, cinema. I'm not sure you would have had things like Miramax and guys like Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith. I'm not sure we'd have things like that if Paramount hadn't lost that antitrust suit with the United States. And so the studios kind of taking it back via streaming feels inevitable, but it also seems like they're circumventing something that was put in place and had good effects. And they're circumventing that. They found the loophole. Nobody goes to the theaters anymore. People watch streaming. If they can cut the theaters out, then why the hell not? They can own the digital distribution, the digital exhibition of the films. This is where people are watching shit anyway. I mean, most of the Netflix stuff doesn't get any kind of theatrical distribution, and the stuff that does get distributed to theaters is, you know, just for a week or 10 days so they can meet some arbitrary criteria and enter in the film into awards shows like the Oscars. So it's really pretty stupid. And it also kind of requires you to not just have a Netflix membership. This was my main gripe. I liked having a $15 Netflix membership and having access to everything. Now you've got to have 8 different streamers to watch some shit that your brother recommends to you. Your brother's going to say, hey, have you seen this show about pirates? They have sex on the ocean and stuff like that. They swashbuckle and they buckle swashes. It's pretty cool. It's like 1 minute they're stabbing each other with swords, and then the next scene they're stabbing each other with their dicks. And so your brother says, hey, go watch this semi-gay pirate series, and you say, okay, cool, it sounds good. Where do I watch said semi-gay pirate series? And people say, well, it's on Hulu. Your brother says, oh, it's on HBO Max or some shit. Or your buddy from high school says, hey, you need to watch this show, Tokyo Vice. It's right up your alley, you fucking weeb. And you say, okay, cool, well, where's Tokyo Vice? How do I watch this thing? Because I can't just go to Blockbuster anymore. I can't just fire up Netflix anymore. I have to find the streaming service. Oh, it's on HBO Max, which is now just called Max, which is fucking stupid. Can we reflect for a moment on how dropping the HBO out of HBO Max was the dumbest fucking thing? I'd like to think that somewhere at these like multi-billion-dollar companies, there are intelligent adults that somehow know better than me, because I'm not running a multi-billion-dollar company. Nobody will even listen to me. The janitor who washes piss off the floor at the Netflix warehouse won't listen to me. I'm scum below even them, and somehow it feels like nobody knows dick. Because I could have fucking told you taking the HBO out of HBO Max is, A, HBO's been around since what, like 1982? 1979? I don't know. HBO's been around for 40 years at the point in time that they're dumping the HBO out of HBO Max. It's like, I don't know, Coca-Cola. Let's stop calling it Coke or Coca-Cola. Let's just dump that part out of there. Let's just start calling it Zero. Instead of calling it Coca-Cola Zero, we're just going to call it Zero now and dump the thing that people recognize. Let's dump the fucking brand that we've built over 40 years, the thing that people actually recognize that they might buy. The whole point in branding is brand recognition and brand loyalty. Let's just dump that whole part. I'm sorry about that rant, but you want to believe that these people have some idea what they're doing, that they've got some clue. Obviously they don't. So look, I mean, maybe I'm glad Paramount won, but I can't trust them to be any smarter than Netflix. I can only trust that they're going to give me physical media, and I can trust that Netflix, in almost all cases, was not going to give me physical media, so whatever. Not that I had a vote, but if I did, I would have voted on Paramount because they were going to give me what I wanted, most likely. They were more likely to give me what I wanted than Netflix. On the matter of making changes to old films to make them more palatable, you know, let's say there's a film, and I think this is Fox, not Warner Brothers, but I could be wrong, so correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm going off the top of my head here, but French Connection. I don't think that's Warner Brothers, but let's use it as an example. French Connection, yeah, Gene Hackman's white ass says the N-word in French Connection, in character, right? I don't think Gene Hackman was a racist at all. He did kill Morgan Freeman's character in Unforgiven, though, so I don't know. Maybe he just liked playing racists. Anyway, I'm sure Gene Hackman was a lovely guy. I'm just trying to be funny. Gene Hackman, in character as Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, says the N-word. Okay, he's playing a character. His character is not supposed to be a nice guy. His character is supposed to be rough around the edges, I don't know, a little bit racist, kind of ugly. Also, French Connection came out in '72 when racial attitudes in the United States were a little bit different. And if you had a 40-year-old dude in 1972, you know, he didn't have 2026 racial attitudes. I think we can say that safely. Times have changed, okay? Regardless, it's part of the movie. Maybe it's not the most pleasant little piece of dialogue, but it's there. It's in a lot of other movies, too. There are white characters that say the N-word in many Scorsese films, as recently as The Departed, maybe The Irishman. Certainly in Goodfellas, there are a couple of white actors in character who say the N-word. I think Ray Liotta does utter the N-word in Goodfellas. Quentin Tarantino, he ain't no stranger to saying the N-word in his movies. That man cast himself just so he can say the N-word in front of millions of people. That man has balls. So what I'm trying to say is that this type of thing, very unpopular nowadays, and I don't necessarily trust anybody, any streaming service, not to alter lines of dialogue. I'm just using the N-word as an example. There are many other examples of, you know, maybe sexual situations where, you know, the male is being a little bit forceful. Look, this is all part of the story that's being built. And, you know, bad guys in movies, I always say about the Scorsese films, it's to show that these guys aren't great people. Like, Scorsese has them use these like racial epithets and show these like casually racist attitudes to try to portray that they're not good people. These are criminals, they're mobsters, they're also murderers, they're also thieves. We hone in on how distasteful their racism is, but they also shoot people and stab them with ice picks. And I dare say stabbing someone with an ice pick is worse than saying the N-word in the grand scheme. But also, I'm an idiot, and there's a reason why the janitor who mops the jizz up in the Netflix bathrooms off the floor won't listen to me, and that's probably it. It's my terrible takes. This is what happens when I don't type up notes and I try to record something really fast because it's breaking news. People, what I'm trying to say is that there's also the possibility that Netflix, and even Paramount at some point in time, but probably not Paramount, this is more likely to be the case with Netflix, tries to soften some of the edges on films like The French Connection, or even just dustbin that shit altogether. We bought Warner Brothers because we wanted Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. We don't want the hard R gangster movies, even if they were made by auteurs like Martin Scorsese, because there's white characters saying hard R N-words in those movies, and we don't want that. So we're gonna put those somewhere where you can't see them. So I was a little concerned about Netflix maybe taking that tack, because as I said a moment ago, the #1 priority with Netflix is do not offend. You don't want to piss anybody off. You don't want to lose any money for the shareholders by having a movie on your subscription service where male characters are misogynist towards women, where somebody gets their ass slapped and Sean Connery says, "Run along now, man talk." That is not acceptable for Netflix. And so you have to worry about, I know the Bond movies aren't Warner Brothers, but I'm using the examples that pop up to my head. There are certainly examples within the Warner Brothers catalog of films. At any rate, I would have liked Warner Brothers to remain its own entity. It is one of the major 5 studios, along with Paramount. Netflix definitely was not, although they're kind of a major in today's day and age. But of the 30s, Warner Brothers was a major, and I would have liked to have seen them stay independent and to kind of keep their things separate from Paramount. But at this point, it is what it is. We got what we got. You get what you get, and you don't get upset, as my 6-year-old does like to say. Although she gets upset, you know, she'll tell me you get what you get and you don't get upset. I'm like, take your own advice, because you get upset like a motherfucker. Anyway, she's not going to be upset about Paramount acquiring Warner Brothers. I already tried to tell her, and she's like, shut up, Dad, I'm watching K-pop Demon Hunters. Anyway, try to tell her that a Criterion was coming to that, and she's like, what's a Criterion? Shut up, Dad, I'm watching K-pop Demon Hunters. Anyway, I'll get her on the special features for that one. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for being patrons of the channel. I love you very much. I hope that Paramount blesses you with tens of millions of dollars and much physical media in the future. I raise my glass in your honor. I'll catch you people on Flippy Dippy. Peace, y'all.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, you're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
What have I done today to make myself seem smart? I kept my fucking mouth shut about politics. There's some advice for the world.